What's up? My name is Rox. I host a podcast on Twitch where I interview lots of different entrepreneurs and inventors. And for a very long time, I've wanted to repurpose that podcast onto Clubhouse. But I had an Android phone and I didn't want to force somebody else to download Clubhouse or figure out how to get on that platform or have two different audios running. It just seems too much effort. So I spent way too much time figuring out an absolutely asinine way to get Clubhouse to work on your desktop, laptop, whatever computer, such that you can basically hop in a Zoom call, Discord call, whatever you need to with whomever, and have both of you show up as different users in a Clubhouse room hosted by you that other people can join. Effectively, just copying your podcast over without anyone even knowing it's happening. It is not that simple, but it's not that hard either. It's very involved, but we'll get through it quickly. I'm going to talk pretty fast. I'll be your host. Let's get into it. How to host your podcast on Clubhouse on PC in 31 easy steps. So, step number 1. Get Clubhouse on your phone. You're going to need an invite for this. This is your actual phone. Clubhouse now exists on Android and on iOS, so whatever phone you have, you should be able to get Clubhouse. Get a friend to invite you with your main phone number and download this app. This will be necessary. Step 2, we're going to download an Android emulator. That Android emulator is called BlueStacks. If you just Google BlueStacks, you'll find it very quickly as the first link. You can download BlueStacks here. Once you download it, make sure you're downloading BlueStacks 5. You'll see that you get both BlueStacks 5 with that and the BlueStacks 5 multi-instance manager. We're going to be using both, but don't worry too much about that. So, step number 3, we're going to be installing House Club on that instance. So for those of you not familiar with House Club, I don't blame you. House Club, again, you just Google it. It will be the first link that comes up. It is a GitHub repo. This is an unofficial Clubhouse app for Android. This is just good enough with an absurd set of steps for us to pull off what we need to do, ever so like by the skin of our teeth. But it can be done. It can be done, and we're going to do it today. Now, like I said, this app is not available on Google Play. The only right place to download it is in the releases section. So we'll go to the releases section, which is at the top of the page on the right above the 10 tags. Once it loads, find 1.0.8, click into the assets, and download this file, House Club Release APK. This is a application program for an Android app. This is basically a packaged Android app that just doesn't exist on the store. When you download it, it's actually very convenient. In case you were wondering, it will literally show BlueStacks Android package file, and BlueStacks will just automatically pull that up for you. So after you download it, open up BlueStacks 5. Once you've created your first instance, it'll just load up. Any device will do. It really doesn't matter what settings you have in this BlueStacks instance. Everything that we're going to be doing is more of a Windows level. Once you've got this guy open, so once you have this BlueStacks instance, you'll obviously see that I already have this app installed. Once you've got BlueStacks open, though, all you have to do is just double-click this file that you just downloaded, your House Club release, and that will automatically install it into this instance. Once you've done that, you're going to want to go into the BlueStacks multi-instance manager, and you'll see that I have 2 here. So all I did is I created one named Dan. Now if I stop this, give it a second, you notice that there is a button to clone the instance. I'll clone it, clone from Dan, create one. It'll only take a second, and it'll be BlueStacks 2, whatever. I don't need this. I already have my second one. This is my second one, but you will need 2. So that way, both of them will have House Club from the onset, which is exactly what you want. With these 2 instances, we now need to create 2 Clubhouse accounts. So you're going to want to create 2 Google Voice numbers. For those of you not familiar with Google Voice, it is a way to get an online phone number. There are other services for this. Most VoIP services will do. That's VoIP, voice over IP. But I recommend Google Voice just because it's the easiest. You will need 2 Gmail accounts to create 2 phone numbers. But once you've done that, just invite those phone numbers to Clubhouse from your mobile app. So to be clear, within Clubhouse, once you open the mobile app, it's this happy little envelope button at the top. Try to show that to you better. That's better. Once you open the Clubhouse app, it's this shiny little envelope right here. And once you click on that, it'll say, hey, you have 5 invites after you've been invited. And all you have to do is type in the Google Voice phone number onto here. Once you sign up, it's going to look something like this. Just take that phone number that it shows you in the top right and put that into your Clubhouse app to be invited. Right into there. right? Once you signed up for Google Voice, invite the phone number in the top right in the invite section as described, and you'll see this text come in. Hey, I have an invite to Clubhouse and want you to join. I added you using this number. Make sure to use that number when you register. So now you're going to come into BlueStacks. You're going to start up your first instance and use this for your first phone number. Again, this takes a while, but once this loads up, you open the House Club app, you put in your first phone number, and you just sign up normally. Then you're going to start your second instance. And on the second BlueStacks instance, you're going to put in your second Google Voice number that you got on your second Gmail account. With both of these going, you'll have 2 separate Clubhouse accounts. Now I'm going to recommend that you name the first Clubhouse account after yourself. Whether or not it's actually your main account doesn't really matter, but you'll notice that for this first one, when I go into House Club, if I look at myself, this is named Dan Giammi Rocksworks. Now when I go to the second one, I've named this account Podcast Guest. Honestly, I'd probably just name it Guest. There's really not a whole lot you can do with House Club, but end of the day, the goal is just to get the sound. If you really want to go to the extra effort, you could probably log into this account on your other phone later and edit everything, but you can't really change names on Clubhouse, so I would pick something like this. That's just my recommendation. All right, so now you have 2 different Clubhouse accounts on 2 different BlueStacks instances on one computer. Great, and they're both named different things. One is you, one is your guest. Now, a very, 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 very important thing is you need to go to the profile of each of them, and it will say who you were invited by. You want to click on that username and click follow. This is absolutely necessary. If you don't do this, this entire thing does not work. Now that you've followed on both accounts, close both BlueStacks instances. We're going to open them back up later, but for now they need to be closed. It's going to get even more complicated from here. So I'm going to shut these both down. We're going to hit close. We're going to hit close. You can leave the multi-instance thing open. This doesn't matter. Now I'm going to strongly recommend that you go in and you rename these. There's a rename button in the multi-instance manager. I renamed this one Dan because that's me and guest. You can just call it me and guest, whatever you want to call them. Now we're going to install another software called VB Cable. Again, this is a software that you can just Google. It'll be the first link, vbaudio.com. And just click the download for whatever your platform is. Again, I'm doing this all on Windows. I don't know how to do it on Mac. I'm sorry. Click the download for Windows, and it should just set up. After you've run through the entire installation, right-click down here in the taskbar. I'm going to move myself up to the corner so that you can see it, and click on Sounds. Now, if the installation succeeded, you should be able to click on the Recording tab, scroll down, and you'll see Cable Output. Now, we're going to right-click on this device. We're going to hit Properties. We're going to hit Listen. And we're going to check Listen to Device. Hit Apply and OK. You shouldn't hear anything different. This will matter later. Now comes the fun part. We're going to go Windows key. We're going to go to Sound Settings. This is a different page than you were on before. Be sure you're on these sound settings now. This is the Windows 10 sound settings. We're going to scroll down to the bottom and we're going to click App Volume and Device Preferences. Okay? Now, ignore what I have here. You're going to first set your output to your normal output. This is just my headphones. And your input to the microphone. Don't touch a single other thing here yet. Okay? Output to your normal output, input to your normal microphone. Back into the BlueStacks multi-instance manager, you're going to start the me instance. Just the me instance. For me, it's my Dan instance. I'm going to start that. We're going to wait a second. We're going to let that fully start. It sounds dumb. It is important that you wait and let it start. What we're going to do really makes Windows question itself, and it has the opportunity to make a bunch of stuff crash. We're not doing anything particularly sketchy. We're just changing things too fast if we're not careful. So this has started. We're going to go back into the settings. Click your input. Scroll down to cable output. Now again, this is the master setting. Now we're going to go back in to the BlueStacks multi-instance manager and we're going to start the guest account. Now we're going to wait. Again, we're going to let this BlueStacks open. Now, take your music. Play some kind of music. Get open Spotify, get open YouTube or Chrome. Whatever music you're playing, I want you to set the output to cable input on this same, output to cable input on this same screen. Be careful, if you scroll on top of this, it will actually change the devices, so make sure that you set this properly. And this is just for testing purposes, to be clear. Now, on both BlueStacks instances, we're going to open House Club. Now you'll notice this is just a bunch of random rooms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come onto my phone, onto the account that I've already followed. I'm going to click at the bottom of my screen, this big green button, Start a Room. I'm going to select it as Open. It's going to just be called Hallway. You're going to see me in there. And I'm going to mute myself. Please, dear God, mute yourself. It will suck if you don't. Now, back on BlueStacks. Swipe down on each screen from the top one, and you'll see that room appear because you followed that account earlier. We're going to join with both accounts and mute the mic on both accounts. Now, you'll notice only one account can talk, the other one cannot. We're going to come back to our phone app. On our phone app, we're going to click on the person that's not a speaker, and we're going to hit Invite to Speak. Now you'll see on the screen, Danjiami invites you to join as a speaker. Hit join. And again, we're muted. Whoop. Now we're muted. Sometimes it'll look like you're muted, but you're actually not. So double check. Okay, both of these are now muted. Great. Come back in. Mute. Normal. All right, so I wasn't kidding about the part where this can really screw up your microphone, and my microphone actually got cut out during this next 30 seconds because I did so much with the audio settings. But you want to make sure that you mute both of these BlueStacks instances or you're going to have an absolutely terrible time. If you don't do that, you will hear yourself like 5 different times in 5 different ways, and it will be awful. Now, if you go in and you unmute yourself here, you'll be able to hear yourself through the microphone on your computer through your phone. So you're talking through your computer, and you'll hear it on your phone if you turn the volume up. Test. So what that means is now my microphone is going through this BlueStacks instance and coming out of my phone because I'm in the call. So I'm now a viewer, right? This is me viewing you on Clubhouse, doing your awesome podcast. Now that's awesome. We've got our voice, but we need the other person's voice. In this example, we're going to use the music to actually understand what their voice looks like. So for a moment, I'm going to turn off my noise canceling here. I apologize in advance. It's going to sound like we're going through a jet engine. Just for a little bit. Now I'm going to unmute my other microphone here. And what we're going to hear is going to be the music that I'm playing in the background because I've fed that through this magic cable. Through here. You guys should hear that very quietly now in the background. And now if I unmute podcast, you hear that? Let me mute it on the computer for a second for you. That would be the music coming through the phone. And for a moment, I'm going to bounce up the volume here. Just to prove a point. So, the key here is that what I did at this last moment is you take whatever the software that you have their voice coming through is. If it's on a call on a web browser, so it's like a Zoom or a Whereby or a WebEx potentially, or if it's a separate software like you're using the Zoom desktop client, all you have to do is in this same menu, you come down and you set this sound output to cable input. And that's it. Now here's a very key note, an extremely important note. You might do all of this, and it might just not work. And literally, you just have to close everything. Wait like 10 minutes. Set them all back to their normal sound devices. Like just set Spotify, for example, back to just your headphones. Wait like 10 minutes and come back. I'm not kidding when I say sometimes this shit just crashes because of the process and BlueStacks being very aggressive. But once you have those 2 instances up with the right sound devices, you're good. You're golden. You'll be fine. And everything should just work from there. And I have had this work for a significant amount of time. So it can be done. Now, maybe that was a little bit more than 31 steps. Maybe it was a little bit less by your count. But that, after everything, is how you can take a Zoom call, a Discord call, a whatever call, podcast format, and bring it live to Clubhouse on 2 different users in the most ridiculous way humanly possible. Thank you guys so much. This is not at all the type of video I normally do here. I normally do startup stuff and interview entrepreneurs. If you want to come see that, please subscribe or come hang out on Twitch where you can see me struggle through garbage like this, or more likely, working on my current startup, twitch2tiktok.com. Feel free to take a look. Thank you so much. Have a great one.